this capacity just wasn't enough. And so now I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to begin to work and put forth effort so that the capacity of life can be filled up beyond where it's at right now. You want something greater in your relationship? You want something greater with people you're interacting with? Elevate your standard. And you might think you may have never seen anything different. This might be in your life. This might be the extent of what you've ever seen. Like, oh, my parents had this kind of relationship. The people in my family, they have this level of relationship. So you become used to this level of relationship. So what do you do? What do you do when you believe that there's something greater in your life? There's a potential for something greater, but this is where you're operating. You need to get around some other people. You need to have a different experience. Maybe you need to decide that you are going to grow your network. Put yourself in different environments so that you can expand your thought process around your standards. Right? When you go and you go to perhaps, and you could practice this in lots of different ways. Like something as simple as where you go to eat, or where you go to shop, or where you go for enjoyment and pleasure, where you go to just to relax. There are everywhere in life, there are different experiences that you can have. Whatever your greatest experience is, there's something or some place where you can go and have a greater experience, and it will open your life up to greater possibilities. When I was young, I always knew that I wanted to play professional baseball. So I grew up, I wanted to play professional baseball. And I like most kids, I play on the T-ball team, and I'm out there with the other kids. And so my life, I was around little kids playing baseball, normal activity. And as a 4 or 5-year-old, I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to play pro baseball. And so this was my thought as I started to grow up. Well, I mean, I hadn't thought that yet. I wanted to play baseball. But then as I got older, I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm growing up, and I lived in California, and my dad pastored a church out in California. And one of the members of our church was a professional athlete. His name was Mike Davis. He played for the Oakland A's and later the Los Angeles Dodgers. But when we were living in California, he played for the Oakland A's. So here I am as a young kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, whatever it was. And I'm playing baseball, and I was around all the other kids. We're all playing baseball. But then something happened that changed my standards. I meet a professional baseball player. He becomes a friend to my family. We actually lived, they moved, and so they ended up moving. They were going somewhere else, and we lived in their house. Right. So once they moved, we moved into their house. So now I'm living in the house of a professional baseball player. They live somewhere else. But because we had become friends, I had the opportunity to have experiences that other young kids didn't have. Other children didn't have the experience that I had. So I lived in a professional baseball player's house. He was a friend of my family. And then I went into the locker room. Right. I went to so I was in the professional baseball stadium around professional athletes in the locker room. I went to spring training my dad took me out of school for what seemed like then like 3 weeks. So I was at spring training with all these professional athletes. And so my standards then went to another level. And I said, not only do I want to play baseball, I want to be a professional athlete. I was able to go to the houses, to the homes of professional athletes, people that were on the team. A guy that I really looked up to that just recently passed away. His name was Ricky Henderson, the greatest base stealer of all time in Major League Baseball. I was in his house. I can remember he had this painting in his house where his teammates were like setting his cleats on fire because he stole a lot of bases. He ran fast. But I was in his home. The person I looked up to. So he became my role model as an athlete. Like I wanted to be like Ricky Henderson. I was in his house. And so my standards started going, they went to a whole nother level because I was exposed to something greater. And so when you're looking at your life and you're looking at your relationship, ask yourself, when was the last time I exposed myself to something greater, something that challenged my mind to desire more, not less? It's easy to get less. It's you all you have to do to get less is turn on your phone and start scrolling through social media. Your standards can go down easily. It's easy to get stuck in the rut, right? Your business has been operating a certain kind of way, and you can just continue. You can continue with the status quo. That's easy. But when was the last time you were in an environment that challenged you to grow? That challenged you to say, all right, I want to go to a higher level. And when you do that, when you get into that kind of atmosphere, your life begins to expand. Your thoughts begin your mind begins to see something. Your eyes begin to see life differently. So I began to process life differently because I was around athletes that were competing at the highest level. I got to look at the way they operated, the way they trained, the way they worked out, the way they did their drills, the communication that they had, the cars that they drove, the homes that they lived in. I wanted to see it all. I got a chance to see all of those different aspects that caused me to open up. And so I would encourage you in any relationship that you have, professionally, personally, educationally, in your own personal development, you can find an atmosphere that will cause you to grow. And when you grow, you will elevate your standards. And it'll change your life. That you could say that you desire more. I want more than this. I want a greater experience than this. When you do that, your life, you'll start seeking after a different kind of experience. You'll start looking for more. And it's okay. It's okay for you to desire more. It's okay for you to say, what used to be okay for me is no longer okay for me. Now, you might lose some friends. You might lose people that are close to you. They may not want to associate with you. There will be a cost that comes with you elevating your standards. There will be some people that they won't want to go to that next level with you. And then you'll be faced with a challenging choice. Will you hang out at a lower level to make them happy? Or will you part ways because you know that there's something greater that you desire? Standards they're not easy. They're not meant to be comfortable. And anything you want in your life, whenever you decide you are going to elevate, let me scratch that. Whenever you decide that you are going to change your standard, there's going to be something that you experience from it. You can have the highest standards right now. You might be tired because you've been waiting for the right person to come along and be in your life. And you might decide, well, maybe I'm asking too much. Let me lower my standards. What you do when you lower your standards is you put yourself in a position to be hurt. So you're going to feel it either way. You're going to feel the consequence, the outcome of your standards, of the standards that you set either way. If you go higher, you're going to lose people. There are going to be people that won't want to go, and it might hurt. It might feel bad. Okay, you feel that. But if you lower your standards and then you're faced with the disappointment, you're going to feel that too. So you really need to ask yourself the question of what experience, what outcome do you want to have? Do you want the pain of someone hurting you because you lowered your standards? Or would you rather have the pain of some people walked away from you because they weren't willing to elevate their standards? Or you had to walk away from some people because they weren't willing to elevate their standards? Either way, there's going to be the price. And when we're looking at life, and it pertains to even your health, there's always people tell me all the time, oh, it's so hard to start exercising. It's so hard to train. It's so hard to eat healthy. It's so hard to drink water. Something is always so hard to do. Okay, right. That's hard. It's going to be hard. All right. But then the other side of that is okay. Well, don't drink as much water. Don't get enough rest. Don't eat healthy, and have the outcome of those experiences. And then ask yourself, how hard is that? How hard is it to move through life when you have physical aches and pains and issues? How hard is it when your skin and your organs are failing because you're not drinking enough water? How hard is that? There's always going to be a decision that you're going to make that can be quote unquote hard. But what do you want? What is the outcome that you desire? If you look at the outcome that you desire, it'll help you set the standard. See, sometimes if we're being really honest, we say we want a particular outcome, but we're not willing to set a standard that supports it. That's just the hard truth. That's the real reality of the situation. You say you want to be treated with respect and with honor and with dignity, and yet you have a low standard that you allow people into your life that don't respect you, that don't honor you. Well, how are you going to have the outcome that you desire when your standard is so low that you let everybody in? And I think one of the things I think is so important, and we see it in the scripture, when God brings the woman to the man, that there need to be people, there need to be gatekeepers, right? You need to have people around you that are protective of you. That should be a standard, right? That's a standard that you can have for yourself, that you say, all right, if I'm going to be making decisions about my life, not that you're not capable, but you can say, I have a standard of having someone in place that's a gatekeeper, that's protective of me. Someone that is not as emotionally connected to this situation as I am, I have them in place as a guard, as someone that is going to check the standards to make sure that with the situation that I'm going into meets the standards. Over the last few days, I've been doing some business and doing some business deals, and I'm on my way to being married and having a wedding. And so therefore, I have someone in place now that as I'm working through and doing these deals, I need to run it by the missus. I'm like, listen, here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. I want to share it with you. I want to, because you have a different vantage point and a perspective on this. So I want to ask you your thoughts, right? We're pledging our lives to one another forever. I want to know your thoughts, because I told her, I said, you're protective of me. I said, you protected me. And so whereas I'm going to see one thing, you're going to have a different view and vantage point. So I want to know what you see, because I know you care for me so much so that you're pledging your whole life to me. So I trust your perspective. What do you think? What do you see? And so that's a protection that's in place to keep me from just going into something and maybe not seeing all sides. And I asked her, I said, give me your gut feeling on this. And she'll tell me. And I believe that we see that same pattern even when God brings the woman to Adam. God's the protector. It's his love that's protecting her and not just offering her into some situation that would be harmful to her. I believe in our relationships, that one of the things that I say to the women when I'm working with them and we're talking and working in the level of relationships and talking on the topic of relationships, one of the things I want to know is who's in your life that someone needs to speak to. And I know that probably seems old fashioned. Like, I'm a whole grown woman. No one needs to talk to anyone. I hear you. I do. But who's in your life that someone, like, if a man is a, wanting to be in your life, he's wanting your attention. Okay, who does he need to talk to? Who's going to help vet him? And I know it's old fashioned, but guess what? It's good. Here's why: because you are worthy of being protected. So there should be, in my opinion, there should be someone that's in place that you say, listen, I know you are fine to me. You are gorgeous. You are so kind. You're so this, you're so that. You're all these great and wonderful things. However, I need you to go talk to that person first. I need to run you through a little bit of a vetting process where other people can have a perspective and see you. And it happens everywhere. Like, if a man tells you, like, I don't need to talk to anyone, that's a red flag. Okay. That's a red flag. You know why? Because we're used to that. Men are used to being vetted. You go for a job, someone's vetting you. Like, what job is more important than someone that's pledging their whole life to you and being committed to you? Like, no, they can go through a vetting process. The last few weeks ago, all these young athletes that want to go to the NFL, they're going through this whole thing called the combine, where they're measuring them and how high can they jump and how fast can they run and all these measurable things, because people are evaluating them, because they're saying there's going to be an investment made in this choice, in this selection. So don't get caught up thinking like nobody's going to go through all that. It's not true. People go through it all the time. But you perhaps have never considered yourself as being someone that is worthy of being, that you need someone to protect you. It's okay. I'm a whole man. But guess what? I didn't just make a choice on my own. Before I was like just getting down on one knee and proposing, oh no, she was going through a vetting process. Oh, she needed to be around my mom, my sister, my brothers, my siblings, like my family. Like, no, there's going to be, I need some eyes on this situation, because I want someone to see if there are red flags. I want someone to bring it up and say, I don't know, that attitude is a little off, or whatever it might be. For me, I got a lot of great reports back. Like, you know what? Here's what I like about her. She was this, she was that, boom. The evaluation was still being made. Before I got down on one knee to propose, I went and I sat with her brother and her dad. Here, I want to share with you my intentions. Why? Because when either you meet the standards or you don't. And so when I was talking with them, they were able to say, we feel good about you. We've seen you. We've seen the way you are. We've seen the way that you operate. We've seen the way that you love. We've seen it. See, that's what happens when you have a standard. This is why they're so good. When you have a standard, what you're doing is you're saying, this is the level that I need to see if you can operate at. That's what a standard is. It's the level in which someone is going to be, their actions are going to be measured. Here are my standards. See, we have, like, here again, like, we have standards. I have standards in my relationship, practices, whatever you want to call them, but they're standards. Here's a standard. We go out to eat. It doesn't matter where we go. She always knows where she's sitting as it pertains to the door. She always knows I'm never sitting with my back to the door. That's a standard. She has a whole expectation, because I set that standard, and I told her early in our relationship, listen, we go out to eat, whatever, we're going out somewhere. I have to see the door. I need to see the door. I'm going to check where the exits are anytime we go anywhere. So she knows, oh, this is a standard. I know that this is how he operates. He needs to see the door in case somebody comes through the door and he needs to handle the situation. He needs to see. If something happens, he knows where the exits are. We're going to be able to get out of the building. He needs to see this. So she's not saying, she's not getting in the way of that. And trust me, if we ever went out and I didn't do that, she would then bring it up and say, what's wrong here? What's going on that you're not thinking about protecting? What's happening here? That would be a problem. We walk down the street, take a guess where she walks. She's going to walk on the inside of the curb. I'm walking closest to the street. Why? Because in case a car jumps the curb, I'm pushing her out of the way. It's the standard. In other words, I'm taking the hit. It's the standard. We walk down the steps. Where am I going to be positioned? I'm walking in front of her. Why? In case she trips, she's going to fall on me. It's the standard. She walks up the steps. I'm walking behind her. Why? In case she falls, she'll fall back on me. That's the standard. And these are just simple practices. She knows we're walking out to the car. I'm going to open the door. That's the standard. Communication. We have standards in communication. No, we're not doing this whole yelling back and forth with one another. No. That's not how we operate. That's not our standard. We operate differently. We're going to get our emotions under control so that we can have a conversation. That's our standard. We have a standard of trust. I don't need all kinds of passwords on my phone. I'm like, here are all my passwords. Here are my passwords to everything. Because I don't have to hide. That's our standard. And so when you start looking at your life, whatever you do, you're setting a standard. We have a standard of peace. So we've been doing some decorating and getting some things together. And like we were working in the house and doing some things. And my bride to be, she's super organized. I mean, super organized. She has like, I make jokes, but it's cute. She has this, I don't know, like a bin, like a little bin. And inside this little bin, there are all these little cubbies. And so in each one of the cubbies, there's like 12, 16 cubbies. Each one of the cubbies, she has her ankle socks, like in all these cubbies. And then she has her little label maker and she labels it and it says socks. Like you can't see the socks, but you can see the socks, but she still has a label maker and it says socks. And the point I'm making here is she's organized and she coordinates and there's a bin for this and that and a place for everything and everything in its place. And I love it. I'm like, I love it. I love it. You know why? Because it brings me peace. I don't want to be looking at chaos. No, that brings me peace. And guess what? Now peace is our standard. It's not something we just stumble across. It's what we practice. See, and guess what? When you set your standards and you hold to it, you are giving yourself the opportunity for someone to not only meet your standards, but to exceed your standards. Because here's the reality. If your standard is a 10, let me drop it down. If your standard is a 9 and someone gives you a 9, that's too close to 8. But if your standard is a 9 and someone gives you a 10, they've now exceeded your standards. And they've taken your standards to a higher level. And in all of our relationships, healthy relationships, that's what should happen. In a healthy relationship, the standard that you have should be moving progressively to a higher standard. It works everywhere. If you go to the gym and you have a trainer and you've been working out and all this time you've been able to do 100 pounds, and then you have a trainer and you're working with your trainer should be able to help you go from 100 to 105. Your trainer should be able to help you go to a higher level of achievement. When someone comes into your life, don't fall in love, rise in love. Go to another level, a higher level, because of that person being added to your life. That's not too much for you to ask for. If I'm in your life, I should be taking you to a higher level. There's no point, right? Here's the reality. There's no point for me to sit and do a live video and you're here and you're sharing moments of your life that you'll never get back. There's no reason for me to be here and not add to your life. If I'm not adding to your life right now, I'm now wasting your time. So I'm causing you to go down? No, that's no good. So anytime I turn on this camera or I shoot a video, I'm saying, okay, I'm showing up because someone possibly could offer me moments of their life. I want to do something, say something to enrich their life. So there should be a higher standard. And so hopefully at the end, in today's conversation, hopefully today you're saying, you know what? Yeah, that's right. I do want to go to a higher level. I want to now adopt and implement a system of standards where I now have this standard where if you're going to be a part of my life, my life needs to go to a higher level because of your presence. Doesn't mean that everyone that's in your life is like has more stuff than you or greater resources than you. No, even someone that's in your life that needs you for something is an opportunity for you to go to a higher standard. You might be sowing a seed or planting something into someone else's life or giving into someone else's life, but that still is an opportunity for you to go to a higher level. So, like, that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about these standards. It's that the experience that you're having should cause you to go higher. That's what you should desire. You're worthy of that. You should desire that, you know what? Someone that wants to meet and exceed my standards would be willing to be vetted, be willing to go and talk with someone else. It might be a friend, it might be a family member, it might be your pastor, it might be a whole group of people, like whatever. But that person, when they're saying, listen, I'm here to meet and exceed your standards. You want me to go talk to your mom, or you want me to talk to your dad or your brother or whoever, your uncles? It's fine. I'm more than willing to, I'm more than willing to show myself worthy of your companionship. I'm willing to show people me in order to have the experience of sharing life with you. Like there's nothing wrong with being protected. There's nothing wrong with being valued so much so that someone would want to make sure that you're receiving the best, that you're putting yourself in the best situations. We are meant to do life with other people. And when we isolate people from being involved, then it's all left on us. And that's where it can get a little tricky because emotionally we can be blinded by our emotions. And something can look so good to us and be all sparkly and glittery and look so fantastic that we don't know. That's fake. You need some people in your life that are willing to tell you that's fake. That's not real. Sometimes you need that person in your life that's going to go digging and do a little research to say, all right, let me find out what's really going on. Oh, yeah, that's fake. Hey, Tennille. And so when you have that, it's a way to protect your value, right? Do you know that you are valuable? Do you really though? Do you really know that you are valuable? I was thinking about it. I went to the jewelry store and I'm going shopping for rings, and they didn't have the rings all just scattered about. No, their rings were and they're in the display case, and they're protected. Why? Because they're valuable. It's not like here everyone gets to come in and just handle everything. No. Hey, listen, stop letting everybody just handle your life. Stop letting everybody handle your life. Everyone doesn't need to have their hands on your life. Everyone doesn't need to be walking through your house, the house of your life, muddy shoes on, all that kind of stuff. Again, standards. And just brought up another standard. Like I'm not a wear outside shoes inside the house. I don't like that. I don't like that. So I come in the house, I'm going to take off my outside shoes because I don't want to be tracking the outside all through the inside. No, no, no. The outside is dirty. I'll come in, I'm gonna put on some house shoes, some flip-flops or something, and then I have inside shoes. Like, and we'll do that for our homes, but we won't even do that for our lives. And we're wondering why things are a mess. You got this person walking through with all their emotional issues, just tracking all their emotions, all their jacked up emotions all through your life. And you're wondering, like, why is my life like this? That's not even my stuff. Those aren't even my issues. You're tracking all your issues all throughout my life. You got me thinking I'm messed up. Listen, if you've never been in a relationship with someone who has issues and they bring their issues into your life, and their issues are so much that you start to think they're your issues, listen, God bless you. I'm glad, because I have. And their issues are so great that you're questioning yourself. I had a woman in my life that she had been through some things. She had been through some negative experiences and been mistreated by some guys, and that happened. But then what happened was this. I started catching bullets. I started catching the consequences. And I told her, I said, listen, I'm paying for the sins of somebody else. Like, I didn't hurt you that way. I didn't do that. I didn't mistreat you that way. I told her, I said, you're talking to someone else. You're not even talking to me. I'm just standing here. I'm in the situation with you, and you're talking to me, but by the way that you're talking to me, I know you're actually talking to someone else. There are some unresolved issues in your life. And now I'm catching the punishment for someone else's sins. See, I'm telling you, when you start to have standards, you can look at everything in your life and you say, all right, wait a second. It is my standard. You start evaluating yourself. What's your standard as it pertains to yourself? Are you going to be the person that holds your past so dear to you that you will take your past wounds and past hurts? You're going to hold on to them and say, eventually, I'm going to make someone in my future pay for this. Is that your standard? And you might think, like, no, I would never do that. Okay, well, if you would never do that, are you proactively working to never do that? Because if you don't work on that, if you don't address that past hurt, what you're doing is saying, I'm willing to take this with me into my future. And you don't know when Jack is going to pop out of that box. People talk about being triggered. Well, that's what it means. You've now held those past issues so dear that you move forward, and then all of a sudden you've met this great person, this wonderful person, and you're so happy about it, but you have all these unresolved issues, and then one thing happens and it reminds you of something in your past. You're often triggered. Now, unresolved issue. Here it is. The standard that because you didn't set the standard for healing. What I've been I've been marveling lately at how we communicate in life and what scripture says. When we start to think, I've been really reframing how I think about everything, because we think about healing, right? Healing and being whole. We think about it as something like we're really blessed to have it, and it's fantastic, it's wonderful, it's what we desire. But I've been thinking about it from the standpoint of healing, wholeness. It's God's standard. And it's been so encouraging to me that that God's standard is healed and whole. Like God's standard is to be able to be, as the scripture says in Genesis 2:25, naked and not ashamed, that you're able to operate in relationship without shame, full intimacy. How beautiful is that? How powerful is that? That we could have in our relationships the highest level of intimacy and there would be no shame. That we could have healing and wholeness and not just be something that we hope for, but it be the standard that we say, no, this is the standard that we expect. It becomes the expectation. What happens when the standard becomes our expectation? Like this is our expectation. I expect trust. I expect faithfulness. I expect honesty. I expect, you see what I'm saying here? I expect health. I expect peace. I expect joy. When it becomes your expectation, that's the purpose of a standard where you say, the standard tells me where my expectation should be. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful process when you start to really reframe what the purpose of a standard is. Standards give you an expectation. So then you go out to the end and you're thinking, okay, this is the experience that I want to have. All right, this is my experience. This is what I want to experience in my relationship, in my business, and at work, with my health. This is what I want. All right, this is the experience I want. So because this is the experience that I want, this is the standard that I'm setting. And then you say, now these are the actions that go with supporting the standard that will produce this expected end. You can do that for any area of your life. I'm thinking out, here's what I desire. This is my expectation. Now I'm going to set these standards. Now I'm going to do these actions. Where does it not work? It works everywhere. And so standards when you're around people and they're trying to talk you out of your standards and they're telling you that you're too much and you're asking for too much and oh girl, you're high maintenance. Come on now, stop. No, they're talking you out of the blessing of your life. You don't have hopes and aspirations and dreams because they're there to torment you. They're there to encourage you and bring you into the fullness of an experience in life where you're not just living, but you're having life more abundantly. Like you're not just going through life. This idea that we're just supposed to just go through life. When we do that, we're actually being robbed of life more abundantly. And you know what life more abundantly looks like? Life more abundantly looks like peace, joy, goodness. It looks like being able to rest because your mind has now came to this point of peace. It means that your body is at rest. Your relationships are peaceful and whole and they're cultivating life. That's what it starts to look like. The things that you used to worry about, no, I'm not worried about that anymore. I don't worry anymore about like where my bride to be. I don't worry where she is. You know why? Because we have a standard of communication. We have standards that communicate our presence. I can pull up my phone right now and I know where she's at. Why? Because we do the apps and all that kind of stuff that says, here, this is where I'm at. Not only that, she follows up with hey, this is where I'm at. Just shoots me a quick text. This is where I'm at, or this is where I'm going. I do the same thing. Oh, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm at. Why? We have this. That's our standard. Why? Because it brings peace. So what don't I do? I don't worry. If an accident happens somewhere, and I know, I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, she's on the other side of the city. I'm not worried that she was in that accident. There's peace. See, standards, they bring accountability. This is why we can start to have an expectation. You can start to say, when I do this, I expect this outcome. This is our standard. And it's all good news. And it'll change your life. You can apply it any and everywhere in your life. There's nowhere where it doesn't work. We talk about the patterns. When you recognize the pattern, then you can apply it anywhere. You just take the one pattern, you apply it anywhere. I can apply the pattern in the gym. I can apply the pattern in the marriage. I can apply the pattern in the business. I can apply the pattern in taking care of housekeeping, washing the dishes. You can apply the pattern anywhere. I have this expectation because this is my standard. These are going to be my actions. And when you do those things, your life becomes more peaceful. And guess what happens? It starts to, your life is then fully filled, fulfilled. It is fully filled. The capacity of an experience that you could have becomes filled up because now you're adding in peace to your life. You're adding in joy to your life. You're adding in just comfort and security and trust. And all of that, guess what? All of that is what adds to our lives and makes it more rich. But the flip side is I'm being robbed of my joy. This experience, this relationship is robbing me of my peace of mind, which means some experience is reaching into your life and removing from you. God would say, I've given you all this capacity. I want you to be filled. I prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. I anoint your head with your head with oil. Your cup overflows. But when someone is robbing from you the experiences of peace and joy and just comfort and trust, and when something is robbing you of the vitality of your life, your cup is not overflowing. It's not how it works. That's a contradiction. God wants you filled up, but yet we put ourselves in a situation where we open ourselves up for someone or some situation to rob from us. It could be the job. It can be the person you're dating. Whatever. It could be where you live. It's robbing you. It could be your health. It's robbing you of life. Your cup can never overflow when you're being robbed of life because you're afraid to say, this is my standard. And so, like, tonight was just about encouraging you to realize that you have this value. The value of your life is such that you can set the standard. And here's the deal. If most people don't meet the standard, it's okay. It just means most people don't make it into that intimate setting of your life. We need to be okay with not so many people in our environment. I know it's really cool to have lots of followers and all these totals and numbers these days. Like, it's super fantastic, really stimulating. But the reality is, in your life, you don't need to have so many people walking through your life. And so when you set the standard and your environment that intimate circle gets smaller, watch how it impacts you. Watch how it impacts the way your life, the way you're able to breathe, because you're saying, whew, it's so much more peaceful without all that noise. All these people walking through my life, tracking their situations all throughout my life. I'm all frustrated because they're agitated walking through my life. All this noise they're giving, all these complaints they're making. You want to have a healthy relationship with someone? You want to have this blissful love and all that stuff? Say, look, this is my standard. I want a loving, blissful relationship. I can't hang out with you people that are over here just complaining that there are no good people around and that you're just talking negative all the time. I can't have you. You're contaminating my world. So I need to change my standard because I believe in love. See, now you got to make a bold statement. I believe in love. I believe in trust. I believe in faithfulness. I believe in that. And when you believe in that, you say, this is my standard. I'm not going to just stumble into a relationship that is trusting and loving and comforting and peaceful. I'm not going to stumble into that. No. This is my standard. And so since this is my standard, I can't hang out with you people that are just talking negative all the time. Because your negativity is working against my standard. And I get it. That's where you're at in life. That's just not where I'm at. I want a healthy experience. So I'm making healthy choices. And watch what happens. You might have some lonely days, but watch what happens. You set that standard, and then someone is watching. You don't even know who they are. You don't know that they see you. But your standards are speaking for you. Your standards are letting the world know the type of person you are, the type of honor you deserve, the type of dignity that should be to be placed upon you. Like your standards are letting the world know this is what I deserve. So you stand up tall. You stand up and you say, no, this is what I deserve. These are my standards. You stand there so that the world can see, oh, here's the expectation. I need to show up in a certain kind of way because these are the standards. You're worthy of that. So if no one's ever told you, then let me be the first. You're worthy of that. Now there is work for you to do. So I would encourage you to take some time now, just during your days when you're going through, start looking at your life. Like don't be overly critical, but something that you can do as a practice is start looking at your life, and wherever you see something that is not adding to life more abundantly, it could be a messy closet. It's spring, great time to do spring cleaning. You can look at your messy closet or the disarray of something, and you can say, you know what, I'm setting a new standard. I want this area of my life to have a new standard. I'm going to change it. Just one area. You're like, I'm just going to organize. I'm going to organize my junk drawer. Or I'm just going to organize my shoes. I'm going to do something on purpose, with purpose, to set a new standard. Because I am worthy of this peace. And I'm going to start with me. You don't have to wait for someone else. Say to your own self, and I'm going to let you go. Say to your own self, I'm worthy of this standard. I'm worthy of a higher standard as it pertains to this. And then set yourself a higher standard and then begin working it. I told you, I'm finishing up a business deal, going to open up some new opportunities. I'm going to be able to serve you all in a different way. And I'm super excited about it. And what was I doing today? I was getting things cleaned up. I'm like, all right, it's time to get some things cleaned up, bring some things into order, because this is the standard. Why? Now, just real quick, because I'm thinking about those that I will get to serve. I'm thinking in advance. I'm going to have the opportunity to serve someone because of this interaction. So now I'm preparing a place for the people that I believe will come to this place, that will be a part of this place, that will be able to experience this place, whether physically or digitally. They're going to be able to have an experience. I need to have order because I'm going to have the opportunity to serve someone. And I want it to make a certain kind of impact. I want someone to say, I don't know what it is, but there's something about the environment that just felt good. See, when this is why standards are so fun, because when you start to really practice them, it is the way for you to be able to develop ways of love and impact, touching someone's life, impacting someone's life. And you start cultivating it, and it starts expanding you so much. And I'm so excited for the opportunity to serve in a different way and to prepare. Like, okay, now it's preparation time. Preparation. Here's my standard. This is what I expect. So I'm preparing to serve at the standard that I believe that you're worthy of. Like, no, you're worthy of more. Let me make sure I'm showing up to give you the more. So that even if no one's ever told you before, that the way that I show up, the way that I care says, okay, I must be worthy of more. He shows up for me. He shows up to serve me because he believes in me. Maybe that's enough to move you to that next level, and it's all good. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. Thank you for allowing me to encourage you. And I just pray that that's something that was said, you could take it and say, all right, I can do something with that. This is good for me. Hopefully that's the way you receive it. Like, this person, whether or not this is the first time you've seen me, or if you're watching live, you're part of Team Replay, hopefully the message is that this person that is talking to me, I'm talking to you, that you realize that you have that worth and value, and that because you are so valuable, like in God's eyes, you are so valuable that you realize that you can elevate your standards because you're worthy of more. It's good. It is good for you. Trust me on this one. It is good for you. So even if people try to talk you out of it, even if you think, oh, it's too much. No. It's good. You're good. You have to just get used to the air at the different level. You're going to a higher level, the air gets different as you go up higher, right? You're gonna have to learn how to breathe and be inspired at a higher level. All right. So let's pray. Let's shut it down. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to show up and to serve each and every person that's here. Thank you for their time that they've given to these moments. Thank you for how you allow us to interact through these different platforms and social media and all this good stuff on the internet. I pray that today's talk and time together would be encouraging, that someone can feel built up on the inside, that they feel like this message was for them, that they do believe that they are worthy of more. And so while we are together, I pray that they would be encouraged, and that as we depart and go our separate ways, that they would know that your presence goes with them, and that the standards that we've talked about today were not just for this moment, but they are for a lifetime. And so I pray that they are blessed, and that as the blessings of the standards show up, that they take time to thank you for being true to your word, as peace shows up in their life, as prosperity in different aspects of life show up. I pray that we would be mindful to say thank you, to be appreciative for how our lives are changing, for how you are taking the pain of hurt in the past, how you lift that off of us, and how your word is true, and that what you put on us is the lightness of life, that you're taking off the heavy burdens that would weigh us down, but you are given to us something light. Your yoke is easy, your burden is light, and that we can live and enjoy that. And so we thank you as we go for the testimonies that will come from this time. I pray blessings upon each one as we go our separate ways, but not from your presence. Keep us connected in love. And we thank you, believing that you have heard our prayers, and believing that we have been in alignment with your will and your word. Count these things as done. Amen. All right. So thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing the elevation of your standards across your social media platforms in your life as you begin to really embrace the next level. As you look for it, as you seek after it, I pray that we would be able to see it, that your light would shine. So thanks for being here. I love you much. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. I love you much. See ya.